Hey guys, welcome to episode 8 of the Knit Now, Swatch Later podcast. My name is Courtney. Today is Monday, February 3rd, 2020. This is a podcast where I talk about my knitting and crocheting and whatever other yarny or fiber related projects that I'm working on at the time. So if you're interested in that, welcome aboard. You can find me on Ravelry as Pup or on Instagram as Knit Now Swatch Later. Anything that I talk about will be listed in the description box below with links to my project pages, and within the project pages you'll be able to find links to the patterns, pictures, yarn information, etc. So let's jump right in. I have 2 finished objects to show you guys today. 2. Who am I? With one of them being a whip basket project. So let me grab that. So the first finished object that I have to show you guys today is the mini baby bean blanket. Mini baby bean blanket. That has been in my whip basket for quite some time. Alright, I'm just going to show it to you guys. So here is the blanket, which I don't have a good way to show you guys the whole thing. It's a pretty good size. It's about 36 by 36, give or take a few inches, but it's a baby blanket size. And then if you guys can see right here, this snowflake progress keeper is where I was the last time I showed it to you guys, so pretty good amount of progress was made. So it's not technically finished because I haven't woven in the ends, but I was so excited to show you guys that I finished another project out of my whip basket. So now I just have to weave in the ends and wash it and then put it away. The second finished object that I have to show you guys is one that I have not shown before because I cast it on, I think last week. It's right here. This is the Calan My Cowl by Kristin Lehrer, also known as Voolenvine. And you guys, this worked up so quickly. I love it so much. I'm going to put it on. Ugh. This is going to be so nice. As you can see, I didn't weave in the ends because I finished this right before I came in here to podcast. So here's this, and it's going to be so warm in these cold Pennsylvania winters. So I knit this on size 6 needles, which are what the recommended size in the pattern, and I knit this using Voolenvine yarn in the Solstice colorway, held together with a skein of Kramer Yarns Fountain Hill brushed mohair. There's the tag. There is 560 yards in these cakes, and oh my goodness, you guys. So this is how much mohair I have left after knitting this cowl. That's a pretty good size ball. And then comparing that to what is left of my skein of Voolenvine, it's a lot of yarn. So this is what's left. I did have to modify the pattern just a little bit because I ran out of yarn and beads. So the pattern calls for glass beads, which I just bought the beads at Hobby Lobby, and I only bought 1 container of them, which would have been perfect. You need about 30 beads per bead round, but every time that I went through Every time that I worked a bead round, I had at least 3 dud beads per round. So I was counting my beads and weighing my yarn to see if I would have enough to do one more repeat, and I had 29 beads. You need 30. And the odds of, if I was missing 1 bead, I think I could have lived with that, but the odds of all 29 beads being drilled perfectly, big enough for my crochet hook to go through, were slim to none. So I think I ended up with, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I ended up with 7 repeats of the pattern, and the pattern calls for, the pattern calls for 8 repeats of this pattern here. And again, this is called the Calan My Cowl, which was inspired by A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I was listening to while I knit this, so it worked out pretty quickly. It took me about a week. And let's see, I finished the first book, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I was reading the second book, which is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, while I was working on that cowl. So that was kind of fun to be knitting on something that was inspired by the book I was listening to. So that was fun. Moving on to works in progress, I have in my Alice in Wonderland bag from Kitsch's The New Black. I love this bag so much. I've made a little bit of progress on my Stoker shawl, which is also by Kristin Lehrer of Voolenvine. Let me see, get it all out of here. So the last time I showed this to you guys, I was at the Zero Progress Keeper down there, and I've made a couple of inches of progress, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like I've mentioned before, I'm up to, there's like 400 something stitches in each round, so it's a pretty big shawl. So I'm finally up to the lace edging, so hopefully not too much longer on this, because it's a really pretty shawl and I love the yarn and the pattern, but it's taking forever, and I cannot wait to have this off of my needle. So hopefully by the next time I see you guys, I'm really hoping that this will be a finished object, because it's lingered on my needles for way too long. It's time. It's time for it to be finished and to be wearable and wonderful and squishy, and I cannot wait to wear this, but I hate working on it, because I feel like I'm working on it for hours and hours and hours, and then I look at it and I have like an inch of progress done. So that's probably why it's taken me so long. But so the yarn that I was using for the Stoker shawl is Yarn B Simply DK or something like that, in the colorway Cloud Control, and I'm knitting that on a size 10, US size 10 needle, using my ChowGoo interchangeable needle. So the next thing I wanted to show you guys, you have seen before, but it's been a while. I showed this on one of the very first episodes of the podcast. Alright, so let me pull out my hook. So I'm going to hold this up for you guys. This is a scrappy corner to corner blanket that I'm working on using scrappy yarn, but these are all minis so far that I have purchased and haven't really used them in anything. But starting from this corner where I started, this red, this orange and green, this white and pink, and then this strip of blue, all of these colors so far up until this red and black, are Bad Wolf Girl Studios. These were her Doctor Who companion sets that I was super excited about, and so that's what all of those are. And this blue one is, I believe, Jack Harkness, which I loved him so much, but the reason this strip is so small is because I knit a pair of, do I have them in here? I don't. I knit a pair of baby socks out of that yarn because I thought it was cute. And then also this pinky purple is from the same companion set. And I also have this little Progress Keeper that is from Simply Serving, and it was part of the mini sets that I ordered. So they go perfectly together. So I'm loving working on this. I don't show it to you guys every time because I only work on it like right before bed. So not a huge amount of progress has been made on it, but I'm chugging along with it. And so here is the hook that I'm using. I believe it's from the Etimo collection. No, that could just totally be a lie. This is a 3.5 millimeter hook that works really well with the size yarn that I'm using. I'm finally breaking into this mini set that I may or may not have shown last time. I've had this for a while, but I got this from the Crazy Sock Lady Swapless Swap, and this is the What the Flock is the Dyer, I believe. And then this was like a Disney Princess and Villain set. So some of the colors are like Ariel, Snow White, Belle, Alice in Wonderland, and the associated villains. So I thought that was a fun one to start with. Oops, I just flung one across the room. That's okay. It was a bad guy. So yeah, so I'm hoping that I can work through the rest of those minis, and I believe after I get through those minis, that'll be all of the minis and scraps that I have for this blanket. So I'm hoping that once I get through it, once I get through this basket of minis that I have, I'm hoping to participate again in the Crazy Sock Lady Swapless Swap, or maybe Meg from Bad Wolf Girl Studios will have another set that I'm interested in. I don't know. But speaking of acquisition type things, I don't have any acquisitions. I've been really good lately, and I have not bought any new yarn, which I know is amazing. But some of you guys may have noticed that this episode is coming out a little bit late. I try to put out a new episode every 2 weeks on a Friday night. Saturday morning is kind of my preferred time frame, but the reason it's so late is because I am an accountant, and as you guys probably know, tax season is upon us, which is an incredibly busy time for us. So I did not even get home on Friday until like 6:30, 7, I don't know. I got home after my husband and just was not feeling recording that day. And then Saturday was busy, and then Sunday was busy. So today I actually had the day off because I had a doctor's appointment. So that worked out. I could catch up and let you guys know what's going on. I'm going to try really hard to stick to my 2-week recording schedule, but just know that if I'm not here on Friday as expected, that I will do my best to record shortly after. Try to keep as consistent of a schedule as I can, but sometimes life gets in the way. And then speaking of like other life things, lately I've been doing a lot more reading, a lot more listening to ebooks. I don't know if that counts as reading. I think it does. We'll say it does. So lately I've been listening to Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough, which it was an amazing book the first time that I read it. I told my husband about it I don't know how many times, and since I started the podcast and I've been listening to more audiobooks, I've been saying ebooks this whole time, haven't I? I think I have. Audiobooks. He asked me if Behind Her Eyes was on audiobook. I don't know if it is. So I looked, and it turns out that it is. So we have been listening to that when he gets home from work together. And I think he's really enjoying it. And it's really weird to me listening to it again because I know what happens. So it's weird listening to it again. But if you have not read that or listened to it, if you have not, I highly recommend it. I love Sarah Pinborough. She's one of my favorite authors, and just read it. Just read it. Just trust me. It's really, really good. And the other thing that I've been reading lately that I've already kind of talked about a little bit, I started listening to A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, and it's going pretty well. Like, I don't think that I'm as into it as like Voolenvine and Once Upon a Corgi are, but it's good. It's okay, I guess. I wouldn't say that it's like a 5-star book or anything, and I'm probably gonna finish this series by her and then probably not really be excited about anything else that she puts out. But one person that I am really excited about, her name is Kristina Henry, and she wrote, I believe they're called Alice and Red Queen. They're amazing books about Alice in Wonderland. They're like twisted fairy tales, kind of. I guess that's exactly what they are. There's no kind of about it. But those are some of my favorite books. I read through them in like a day and a half each. And she's coming out with a new book in April. I think it's in April of this year. And it's like, I think it's called The Chronicles of Alice. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of short stories that are a prequel to what happens in Alice, if I understand correctly. But I'm really excited about that. She's got a ton of new books in the works, and she's probably one of my favorite authors of that genre. So something to definitely look forward to if you like to read and if you're interested in the twisted fairy tale genre. That's pretty exciting, and that's pretty much all that I have going on right now. The next thing I want to work on, I don't have anything. I have my Stoker shawl, but that's technically not a whip basket project, so it's just a lingering whip at this point, I think. So I'm hoping to start working on, I want to cast on the second sock of my Whispers in the Wind socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. So I'm really hoping for February to have that finished, and then I can check off a project from my whip basket projects and also complete a pair of socks this month. So trying to stick to my goals. I think it's been going pretty well so far. I mean, we're a couple days into February, and I finished 2 projects out of my whip basket. So I think that's pretty good progress for me, considering I never finish anything. And then I cast on the Calan My Cowl like a week ago, and it's done. So there's that. Something I should give myself a pat on the back for that one, because that's pretty impressive for me. But anyway, that's pretty much all that I have for today, guys. So if you liked this video, make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel. Comment below if you guys have any good books that you've been reading lately, and if you have any feedback or comments on what I'm working on or the podcast in general. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So that's pretty much it. So see you guys in 2 weeks. Happy knitting. Bye.